2 sandwiches for only $6. Choose 2 Whoppers or 2 crispy chicken sandwiches, or even mix and match one of each, all for just $6. Mix and match with the most popular burgers in Cayman is finally here, but only for a limited time. Available at all 5 locations across Island: 7 Mile Beach, Waterfront, Town Center, Walkers Road, and the newest location at Red Bay.
The Lions Club of Tropical Gardens, in association with the Cayman Islands Cancer Society, presents Steve Higgins and Friends in Embracing Romance. An elegant evening with Dahlia Winter, April Marr, Amaya Lewis, and Steve Higgins. Sunday, September 2nd at the Marriott Beach Resort, 7 Mile Beach at 6 p.m. sharp. Come hear impeccable performances of timeless love songs, punctuated by riveting, stunning creative dance in a classy, romantic evening. Tickets at Funky Tangs or Super Stitch and Virtue, or call 916-5008. That's Embracing Romance, Sunday, September 2nd at 6 p.m. at the Marriott Beach Resort with Steve Higgins and Friends. Proceeds will go to the Cayman Islands Cancer Society and the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens. Sponsored by Harney's, NCB Capital Markets, S&P, Auger, and Radio Cayman.
For the Record is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking and pension needs, call or visit a Fidelity branch today. Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. And Cayman Pharmacy Group, with locations in West Base and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. And Seaboard Marine. With over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling Seaboard Marine at 949-4977.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. Today is Friday, the 31st day of August, 2018. I trust that everyone had a pleasant, enjoyable, restful evening. And those of you who are already out there, you're engaged in whatever activities that you choose to engage in. And those of you who are not out there yet, that you are raring to go and will be out there soon. I want to thank you, our listening and viewing audience, for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. Of course, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 9:30 a.m. Our phone lines are always open. There is always someone there waiting to take your calls. If it is not that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson, it is the voice of DJ Lynn or Mr. Paul Akai. This morning it is the voice of DJ Lynn. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number is 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Of course, if you don't like to talk on the telephone, email us at fortherecord. That is one word, fortherecord, at candaw.ky. In addition to that, we have a WhatsApp number. That number is 925-3261, where you can leave us a text message or send us a voice note, the contents of which will be aired during the course of the show as well. And of course, we're on YouTube now, and all you have to do to follow us there is to subscribe to Radio Cayman live stream. Today being Friday, it's the day that the official opposition in our Legislative Assembly join us here in the studio on For the Record, and it is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning the Honorable D. Ezard Miller, Leader of the Opposition and MLA for the District of East 10, Mr. Arden McLean. Gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. It's been quite a while since I've had the two of you on here at the same time. As a matter of fact, I think you took a little sabbatical for the month of August, and of course everyone needs to take a little break at some point in time, so I'm sure that you had a well-deserved one as well.
Yes, but good morning, OC, and good morning to the listening Cayman. Yes, we took a little time off, and we're back here, and we also know we need to give you time to recover from us, all the pressure we come here and put on you.
Yes,
but it's good to be here, and we look forward to talking a little bit about the agenda for the LA meeting in the BRAC, and also particularly to talk about the private members' motions that the opposition are bringing.
Yes. Mr. McLean.
Good morning,
OC,
and good morning to the wider Cayman Islands. You make that sound so ominous, OC, that we were off. And to give people the impression that we went and took the whole time off.
No.
Every parliament in the world goes black, or you want to call it dark. Some people call it dark during summer,
Yes.
And it is done for a specific reason. It is done so members of parliament can go and with their families.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But all of a sudden, because it's members of parliament, it's a big deal. That's a little... Anyway, thank you for inviting us again.
And of course...
Usually it's to get people away from the politics too, you see.
Yes.
So
we all need a break from whatever it is.
Absolutely. You went Cuba, must be riding for 3 weeks. You needed a break.
Two weeks, 14 days, and we rode 11 out of the 14
You know
days.
when last time I had a vacation? 2007.
Wow, that's not good. That is not good.
Okay, thank you.
That is not good. You have to take a break from things. You need to take a break. And it should be sometimes best if it's done more than once for the year as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You have my permission.
Okay. Good. Next time.
Okay.
I will not have to ask for it.
No, hold on a minute. You inviting him to go riding in Cuba?
No, that's not going to happen.
Well, he could be.
I would have called my cardiologist.
He can be our chauffeur.
I ain't taking the cardiologist.
He can meet you at your destination.
I ain't taking no cardiologist.
I might go like that too, and if we can use the car and meet them at their destination.
So lots of things are going to be happening soon. The cabinet as well as the legislative assembly will be meeting in Cayman BRAC, and so there's going to be a lot of activity over in the BRAC. As well.
The government is bringing 4 pieces of legislation. A short amendment to the anti-corruption bill, an amendment, a new law for the Cayman Islands Red Cross. Some amendments to the National Honors and Awards, and also an amendment to the Penal Code. And in addition to that, they're bringing 2 government motions to rezone property for individual people, which was never the intention of the Development and Planning Law when it was originally passed, and what was 1977. And all this is surprising because we did manage, through pressure from the opposition, in particular the Public Accounts Committee, to get the government to put funds in this 2018 budget to redo the development plan. So we haven't heard anything about that. I don't know whether it started, or obviously it hasn't started because they're bringing these individual changes to the development plan, which in my view goes against the spirit of the development plan, in that the people in the area may not benefit from a rezoning. Just one individual is getting it done.
Okay. So that's likely to be controversial?
I don't know that it'll be controversial. I have always opposed them to being done like that. But we're bringing 4 motions. The most topical one right now is the one asking the government to hold a referendum on the cruise pier facility. which we hope the government will support, because if they have the kind of public support that they claim they have for it, a referendum should demonstrate that. We're bringing a private member's motion to increase funding to education, because we're still hearing and seeing evidence that the schools are not properly resourced. And then we're bringing a motion on the force of performance-based bonuses for civil servants, and one about asking the government to do a study on the upward social mobility of Caymanians, because we believe that what's been happening for some time now is that particularly the what we call the middle-class Caymanians are not only being left behind, but the only movement seems to be downward, not upward. And one of the things that we need to ensure is that our, particularly in the professional category, can move from middle up to upper. So I noticed just a cursory view of the labor statistics this morning while I was sitting here, is that they're starting now to report underemployment, right? And it's I think that quite a few, far too many, to put it that way, situations of underemployment being reported. So it should be an interesting session. It's planned for 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So we're all going up on Tuesday morning to get rid of the jet lag and they get acclimatized to the BRAC to make sure that we can function properly on Wednesday morning, and then we come back on Saturday.
But some will be there before, because I heard some talk about there's a church service that will be taking place.
That's the speaker.
Because the cabinet will be meeting before the legislative assembly.
Yeah, we understand that. We've heard from various categories that there seems to be a whole week of activity, but we're going to do the people's work in the Legislative Assembly.
Okay, so that whole week of activities, the opposition are not included in that?
Hardly.
Really?
That's the speaker. Oh, see, we know what the speaker give. I mean, there's no maybe or perhaps. The speaker is. You don't see all the controversy he has created since he gone in that seat. And I can say that I have never been outright criticizing the speaker. I've served with 4 or 5 speakers now. And this is the worst I've ever seen. But we can't expect no better. This country we seem to have a short memory. This speaker has never served, in his 32 years, he has only served 1 term in any position in this country other than member of the Legislative Assembly.
1 complete term.
1 complete term of 4 years. And that was from 1992 to 96. The rest of the time, he caused some controversy within there. Remember 97, they kicked him out of cabinet. 2000, he went back in with Kurt. And on the anniversary of the election, he stabbed Kurt in the back, him and Edna, and removed them with a coup. Then he won. We won in 2005. He won in 2009. And his colleagues from West Bay kicked him out of cabinet because of his behavior. He wasn't languishing out in opposition. Alden revived him again, put him in the speaker's seat, and now he's causing problems with that. Now it's either he seems it's idiotic the way he's going on, or it's a lot of dictatorial behavior. Now, the speaker should never, no speaker, should ever come to the public and threaten the public. The papers reported the other day that he said if anyone say he working with China Harbor, that he was going to sue them. Now, come on. He writes letter on his own letterhead to whomever it may concern that he's introducing China Harbor to Belize and the some Simfo Farm or something. Sinopharm, which is also a Chinese government company, and the two of them are connected together in Jamaica.
And when you said his own letterhead as Honorable McKeever Bush, or
Doctor,
yes.
Doctor,
not the Speaker's letterhead.
No. And he's saying, sue anyone. You don't intimidate people when you're in power like that, OC. Mm-hmm. People are going to have their opinions of us because we're public figures. Mm-hmm. It is for us to ensure that our behavior is beyond reproach.
Okay, folks, I want to remind you that you're listening to For the Record. I'm your host, Orrett Connor. My guest in the studio with me this morning, Leader of the Opposition, Honorable D. Ezard Miller, and MLA Mr. Ard McLean. When we return from this break, we want to delve a little bit more into the role of the Speaker and the public profile that the current Speaker has taken, and whether or not that is in keeping with the position of the Speaker of any legislative assembly or parliament. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas.
Affectionately known as Miss Kippy, Muriel Sims was a very humble person who had a passion for teaching and taught children at her residence on Goring Avenue, Georgetown, until children attended government school at the age of 7. Her classes were held outside without seating, and children wrote on slates instead of blackboards. At times, there would be 10 to 12 students attending classes, which were held under a tree, and throughout the day, the students would shift around according to the sun. The cost was a pence per child per day, although Miss Kippy turned no child away. For those who knew her best, Miss Kippy was kind, inspiring, pure, purposeful, and yearning always to better the community in which she lived, whether imparting knowledge to children or wishing the best for her fellow man. Information from this historical vignette was sourced from the Lions Club of Grand Cayman. Radio Cayman's historical facts vignettes are proudly brought to you by Cayman National, with branches on all 3 Cayman Islands. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
Why rush around paying bills when you can pay most of your bills online? Cayman National offers an extensive list of service providers. Visit CaymanNational.com and log on to our personal or business online banking systems. Not an online banking customer? Contact their customer support team on 949-8300 for more information.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the Record with Orrett Connor continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, Leader of the Opposition, the Honorable D. Ezard Miller, and MLA who represents the District of East End, Mr. Arden McLean. We're talking about the Legislative Assembly, talking about the meetings that will be taking place in Cayman Brac. That is meetings of the Cabinet, of course, which the Opposition will not be involved in, but also the meeting of the Legislative Assembly there as well. But we diverted a little bit in talking about the Speaker and the public profile that the Speaker has taken. First of all, I'd like you to comment on the fact that we have a situation where in other jurisdictions as well, in this particular case, our Speaker is also elected representative, so he has a dual role. Unlike the UK, the question is, do we have protocols, policies, and procedures in place that will help the Speaker assist the Speaker in his role as a member of the Legislative Assembly without encroaching on his role as a Speaker, so the two can be separated, whether or not we have those two things. And my other comment is that I am no expert in parliamentary procedures or anything, but we have a saying, there was a saying a long time ago that children should be seen and not heard. I take the position that in this case, the Speaker should be heard, and where he should be heard is in the Legislative Assembly, should be heard, but not seen.
But even there, the hearing should be limited to facilitating the flow of the debate.
Yes.
For instance, he shouldn't be heard constantly interrupting people and interjecting his positions into the debate.
Yes.
That's not the role of the Speaker. The role of the Speaker there is to enforce the standing orders, i.e., on the language that people use, and other well-being, repetition, the mode of speaking, etc. But all of those protocols that you talk about exist.
Mm-hmm. They're all
For the last Speaker was also the representative from Cayman Brack.
Edna was.
Right. Mr. Linford Pearson was. Captain Mabra was.
No.
Yeah, Captain Mabra was a member when he was Speaker, no?
Yes.
And first time he was Speaker?
Yes.
So none of those saw it necessary to remain in the political arena. And if they needed something done, even us in the opposition understand that the Speaker position and his constituents' needs are going to be taken care of. That's part of what happens when he accepts the role of Speaker. There's no need for him to be on talk show promoting the government agenda. And how can you pretend to be unbiased? Well, I mean, he made it clear in his opening address as Speaker that he was going to be very biased and that he was going to be involved in policy.
And you know,
so you were forewarned.
but OC.
But my view is then he should have been removed from Speaker after that statement was made.
But OC, the thing is, you ask, you say that we have a dual responsibility here. There are very few parliaments that does not elect one of its own to be Speaker.
Yes.
Very, very few.
Yes.
We did it here twice, I believe. Aunt Sybil and Miss Mary. Right. Very few that doesn't elect one of their own. England, it's done. I have rubbed shoulders with the Speaker of England all over the Commonwealth. I've rubbed shoulders. You have never seen that. You have never seen the kind of behavior this man is going on with. And by him coming out in the public the way he does and threatening to use the standing orders against people,
particularly
he is bringing our speakership into disrepute. And it is wrong. He needs to play the role of Speaker. You never see Linford do that. Linford brought that speakership to a level. You understand, we're very young with speakership. But Linford brought that.
And that's, of course, of our own making as well. Because we had no faith and no trust in our own.
But like I said, Mickey has gone nowhere that he not cause controversy in this democracy. That's his problem. He is like a dictator. And that needs to stop in this democracy. You can't open your mouth on the floor. I see Pert in Jamaica, who was a speaker for a long time. A good friend of mine. I mean, he sat down and if the members don't stop the other member on the other side, it's not his business. You don't get yourself involved in the debate. When McKeewa was in the opposition, he has been more unruly to the speakers than anyone else that has ever entered those hallowed halls. Because I've been there for 18 years and I watched them. I have watched him even as premier and leader government business. And he has brought that speakership into disrepute and he needs to stop it. But, it's not his fault. Let me throw one fault in now. The Premier. Okay? No. Mr. Premier, it's your fault. It's all our fault. We got him there. Now it's time to remove him. And here's my promise to you, Mr. Premier. Arden McLean, you got 13 over there. 3, you got a speaker, and his 2 from West Bay, and you got 10 other ones. Arden McLean make you this promise today. And you know my word is my bond. Arden now moving with McKeewa against you. Remove him, and if his other 2 go with him, you can maintain the government, and I will support that. Go bring Linford Speaker, bring Donna, bring anybody, bring John McLean, bring Truman, any one of them. They'll be better than him. We are destroying the sanctity of our democracy, but more importantly, the sanctity of the Legislative Assembly with McKeewa being in that chair. Let's remove him now.
And you see, the Speaker sets the tenor. He sets the decorum of the Parliament. Mm-hmm. He earns the respect of the community. The standing orders require, if Mr. McLean is saying something that I object to, it is my responsibility as a member to get up on a point of order and draw the Speaker's attention to the relevant standing orders that I believe Mr. McLean is breaching on me, and the Speaker to rule on that. It is not the role of the Speaker to tell Mr. McLean that he is imputing motives to me. That is my responsibility as a member.
Absolutely.
Why is that like that? For the simple reason that it requires me to pay attention.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to tell you one classic one about this Speaker. He is, by virtue of the position, is president of CPA. Mm-hmm. Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, our branch.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then the leader of the opposition, vice president, and the premier is vice president by virtue of the position. Every time there is a conference, since I've been there, I have submitted my name without fail. Mm. As it comes out, the invitation is sent out to us. I submitted my name. Mm-hmm. More times than not, I have withdrawn my name when the younger ones want to go.
That's true.
I have traveled with the younger ones. It is my job to teach them the procedures of the Legislative Assembly. Ask any of them. Mm-hmm. I have followed this. I have done more as a member of Parliament for the youth parliamentarian in this country than any member has ever stepped into the Legislative Assembly. I've spent more time with them. I submit my name every time. You know what he has done? He has stopped me from being considered on what basis? Say that I've attended too many conferences. And who goes there? One that I submit? Him. As president, as chairman of the CPA, he can't swiggle his way in and use every member that is on that executive to vote for him. He went out and solicited Kenneth Bryan to vote for him so that he know he can win that. Mind the majority of them is government, right? Yeah. And only him goes. He needs to go everywhere. That's what he does. That's what he enjoys. Spending the government money so he can go on these trips.
Okay. Now, we're going to go to our 8 o'clock news. When we return, I want to get into a little bit more about the provisions in our Constitution for a speaker to be elected from amongst members of the Legislative Assembly or outside of the Legislative Assembly. And let's talk about the pros and cons of that. And for the Cayman Islands being a young democracy, whether or not it is better to have a speaker from the outside so that all elected members of the Legislative Assembly are allowed to exercise their constitutional functions as as the representative for their various constituencies. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
All right, thank you, Mr. Connor. The time is now 7:59, brought to you by Price Right.
Did you hear that Vamt Motors has your sale going on now? And you get your choice on the money you'll save on your new car or truck?
My sale? My choice? Really?
Yeah, and they have lots of cars on sale, some up to $7,000 off.
Sounds pretty good.
It gets even better. You can choose to take the full discount, or you can get some or all of it as cash back.
Extra cash back would be great.
Exactly. And you can even use the savings to extend your warranty or service plan so you'll drive worry-free for years longer.
Another good idea.
If you want to upgrade with something like a new roof rack or backup camera, you can choose that too.
Wow, I get to choose?
Yeah, that's why it's your sale, your choice. Going on now at Vamt Motors on Walkers Road, while stocks last.
Sometimes things just don't go as planned. That's why you need Contractors All Risk Insurance from Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Ensure you're covered in the event of property damage and third-party injury or damage claims during your construction projects. And with Fidelity Insurance Brokers, you can be sure you are getting competitive pricing and superior customer service. Call us today for a free
pharmacy
quote.
is
Fidelity,
where you go for
we're
medicine
good for
and
you.
for the pharmacist's advice on how to take them. Here at CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, our pharmacists are trusted health professionals whose job is to help people receive the best results out of their medicine. They know exactly what's in your prescriptions and will be happy to answer any of your questions. You can be sure that our pharmacists will see that your medicine is at the right strength, in the right dose, and will check that you yourself know how to take them or use them properly. Come in today for a consultation with our pharmacist at CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
Access information. Your community. News and information. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. Department of Tourism Manager for National Promotions and Events, Anik Jacksman, is just back from competing in the semifinals of the Toastmasters World Championship of Public Speaking.
That experience was awesome. There's so much work and preparation that goes into it.
The distinguished Toastmaster had to prepare 2 separate speeches for the event in Chicago in August and compete with people from all over the world.
It was an opportunity to really test myself. This competition I've shied away from. I competed in evaluation before, but this one I've always shied away from, and I thought last year it's time to give it a shot.
Ms. Jackman was representing 152 clubs from the 26 Caribbean territories after winning the Caribbean district level of the competition back in May. And Premier the Honorable Alden McLaughlin pledges support for Beacon Farms, a sober living project designed to provide a next step for those recovering from drug and alcohol addiction by using farm-to-table agriculture to support sober living.
Because it's not just going through the motions, but actually there's a product at the end which is marketable. And they seem to have the knowledge, they seem to have the wherewithal to make this happen. So I'm going to continue to look forward to this, and as I've indicated, them anything government can do to help, to support this, we're most willing to do.
Beacon Farms is located in Frank Sound on property once owned by the late Speaker of the House, the Honorable Edna Moyle. It is a collaboration with the Bridge Foundation. In regional news, in Grenada, a 25-year-old man has become the first person to be charged for violating a section of the Electronic Crimes Act when he appeared in court this week. Gerber Phillip was charged with violation of privacy under the act based on allegations that he published nude photos of a woman on a social media website. Police confirmed that the female and Phillip had an intimate relationship. Under the new law, a person who knowingly or without lawful excuse or justification captures, publishes, or transmits the image of a private area of a person without his or her consent under circumstances circumstances violating the privacy of that person commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine not exceeding $200,000 or a term of imprisonment not exceeding 3 years or both. The legislation was approved in both houses of Parliament as one of 5 electronic laws aimed at providing guidance to the police and the judiciary to deal with criminal matters committed using electronic and technical devices. Assistant Commissioner of Police Trevor Modest said the Electronic Crimes Act is designed to protect the rights and privacies of individuals in this increasingly technological era. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, who will take us out of the newscast. I'm Karsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Jerry Smith. Trade negotiators from Canada and the United States are due to meet to try to thrash out a deal on changes to the North American Free Trade Agreement. President Trump has said he wants a deal today. Both sides insist they're on track, despite inconclusive meetings on Thursday. Police have clashed with opposition protesters in a suburb of the Ugandan capital Kampala as they tried to stop the demonstrators blocking roads with burning tyres. The protests have been called in support of the opposition MP Bobby Wine, who faces treason charges and is currently in a state-run hospital in the city. The European Commission says it will propose abolishing clock changes in the EU. The Commission's head, Jean-Claude Juncker, told a German broadcaster that most people surveyed wanted to remain on summertime all year round. But a spokesman said it would be a sovereign decision for member states whether they stayed on summer or winter time. Officials in Indian administered Kashmir say suspected militants have abducted 11 relatives of police officers in what appears to be an act of reprisal. It comes shortly after family members of 2 militant leaders alleged that security forces had set fire to their homes. The most senior U.S. counterintelligence officer has accused China of making what he called super-aggressive efforts to recruit U.S. informants through the business networking site LinkedIn. The company says it's doing everything it can to identify and stop the activity. The UN Refugee Agency has called on Greece to speed up the processing of undocumented migrants at reception centres in the Aegean. A spokesman said on the island of Lesbos more than 7,000 people were crammed into shelters built for 2,000. And Coca-Cola has agreed to buy the Costa coffee chain for more than $5 billion. It's been looking to broaden its business away from fizzy drinks. BBC News.
Access. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Chamber members believe that a good education can change lives. That's why many chamber businesses fund scholarships, provide internships, and volunteer in the classroom. It's time to be recognized. Submit your education initiative and demonstrate why investing in education matters. Visit businessexcellenceawards.ky for details. The Chamber's Business Excellence Awards are proudly supported by Caribbean Alliance Insurance Company, Cox Lumber, and Deloitte.
The Kirk Freeport Clearance Center is now open. Kirk Freeport needs to make space for new season merchandise and is offering clearance discount pricing on a wide range of china, crystal, jewelry, watches, and accessories in a brand new clearance store. Located in the Town Center Plaza next to Burger King in downtown Georgetown, new stock will be added all the time, giving you a brand new clearance store to shop every week. The Kirk Freeport Clearance Store is open in Georgetown now. Outrageous discounts with new stock all the time. Get down early and often to avoid missing out.
Did you hear that Vant Motors has your sale going on now? And you get your choice on the money you'll save on your new car or truck?
My sale? My choice? Really?
Yeah! And they have lots of cars on sale. Some up to $7,000 off.
Sounds pretty good.
It gets even better. You can choose to take the full discount or you can get some or all of it as cash back.
Extra cash back would be great.
Exactly. And you can even use the savings to extend your warranty or service plan so you'll drive worry-free for years longer.
Another good idea.
If you want to upgrade with something like a new roof rack or backup camera, you can choose that too.
Wow, I get to choose?
Yeah, that's why it's your sale, your choice. Going on now at Vant Motors on Walkers Road while stocks last.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Can you explain what a less-than-container load is for shipment and what your minimum charge is?
Sure. A less-than-container load, or LCL, is any overseas shipment that does not require the full space of a container. At Seaboard, we have great rates for small packages. Just let us know the dimensions of your package and we'll help you out from there.
Shipping shore to shore.
Tune in to Radio Cayman every morning at 7:20 a.m. for your daily weather update. Proudly brought to you by Miller's Plumbing and Accessories. With over 47 years of experience, they'll get the job done for you on time. Free estimate. Miller's Plumbing and Accessories. Call them at 949-4709 for a free estimate.
Global shares mostly fell today following a report that the Trump administration could put tariffs on $200 billion in Chinese goods as early as next week. Keeping score, France's CAC 40 fell 0.5% in early trading to 5,451. Germany's DAX lost 0.7% to 12,404. Britain's FTSE 100 slipped 0.3% to 7,496. U.S. shares were set to drift lower, with Dow futures down 0.1% to 25,993. S&P 500 futures were also 0.1% lower at 2,898. Looking at Asia's day, Japan's benchmark Nikkei 225 recouped earlier losses to finish virtually unchanged at 22,865. In energy, benchmark U.S. crude fell 12 cents to $70.13 a barrel. It gained 1.4% to $70.25 in New York. Brent crude, used to price international oils, dipped 25 cents to $77.77 a barrel in London. And in currencies, the dollar fell to 110.75 yen from 111.58. The euro fell to 1.1685 from 1.1688.
From happy beginnings to happy ever after,
BritK protects your lifestyle with the best insurance cover at the best possible price.
Health insurance with far-reaching benefits.
95% of claims settled in 5 days.
Low-cost life insurance.
And investments.
Security in retirement.
With a custodian pension plan.
For happy beginnings and a happy ever after,
visit BritK.ky or call 949-8699.
BritK, where people come first.
Always separate debris from household garbage after a hurricane hits. Debris includes roofing materials, downed tree branches, and metals. All items of debris must be placed in separate piles to the front of the property or at a side that is easily accessible to collection trucks. Debris must be placed in a location that will not cause obstruction to roadways or come in contact with electrical lines. For more post-hurricane waste management tips, visit the DEH website at www.deh.gov.ky.
The Cayman Islands Civil Service Association members are asked to note that the final day of school bag supplies and distribution is Friday, August 31st from 3:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. If you did not get a bag and have been inquiring about how to get one, this is your last opportunity to do so. Please remember to bring a copy of your pay slip showing your $5 deduction. That's CICSA members' last day to pick up backpacks. This Friday from 3:30 p.m. till 6 p.m. at the CICSA office, 2nd floor, Hospital Road Plaza.
Your weather update after 8 is brought to you by Brand Source Home Gallery, creating elegant bathrooms with European-style fixtures and fittings.
All right, taking a quick look at the weather, brought to you by Brand Source. Temperatures 83 degrees outside. Relative humidity is at 81%. Winds are coming in from the east at 5 knots. Barometric pressure is at 29.90 inches and rising. Overnight low last night was 82 degrees. Synopsis indicates isolated showers and some thunder are expected across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours. Radar images show scattered showers in and around the Cayman area moving towards the southwest. Forecast for today, partly cloudy skies, 30% chances of shower with possible thunder. Winds will be east to northeast 5 to 10 knots. The seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Take a look at tonight, partly cloudy skies, 40% chances of showers. Winds will be east to northeast 5 to 10 knots. Seas will be slight with moderate to wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Low tide was at 6:24 this morning. High tide at 12:48 p.m. Low tide at 6:40 p.m. Outlook is for similar weather conditions through Sunday morning. Sunset is tonight at 6:30 p.m. and sunrise tomorrow morning at 6:11 a.m. Brought to you by our friends over at Brand Source.
Your weather update after 8 is brought to you by Brand Source Home Gallery, creating elegant bathrooms with European-style fixtures and fittings.
Brand Source Home Gallery has been appointed the exclusive Cayman supplier for Duravit bathroom products. Duravit is the leading international manufacturer of bathroom ceramics, tubs, and showers, recognized around the world for beautiful, functional products. Winner of top industry awards, Duravit collaborates with leading European designers to provide the most elegant and innovative bath products. If you're ready to bring style, comfort, and innovation to your bathroom, visit Brand Source Home Gallery to see the new Duravit showroom and meet the in-house bath designer. Whether you're planning a functional family bathroom or a personal spa retreat, browse the Duravit collection and be inspired. Brand Source Home Gallery, delivering a new standard in custom designed bathrooms. Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
And good morning to our drivers out on the road. If you're coming in from the east by Lantern Point, right there on Shamrock Road, traffic is backing up by the roundabout there. A little further up by Kings, moderate flow of traffic as you head on towards the Linford Pearson Highway. As you get towards town, around the CMB area, clear flow of traffic right there. If you're in town, traffic is clear by Edward Street and Shedden Road. Taking a look at the Butterfield roundabout right now, moderate flow of traffic in all directions as you head in towards Industrial Park and Godfrey Nixon Way. Clear traffic on Godfrey Nixon Way heading towards the Eastern Avenue area, and coming out from the west, traffic is all clear. Keep it locked right here for Radio Cayman for your latest updates.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you.
This August at Kirk Home Center, protect your electronics with Power Surge protector strips for $8.59. Keep current this hurricane season with a portable generator for $286.79. Chef up your favorite dishes in the 14-piece Tefal nonstick cookware set for $80.69. Store yard items away and create seating space with a deck box for $89.49.
Kirk's Home Center. We got a great deal in store for you.
Open a world of knowledge and education with Flow. Bundle now and get smart back-to-school savings on Cayman's biggest network. Get 50% off HD quality Flow Evo TV and superfast broadband bundles now from $49.50 a month. And you could win one of 4 weekly laptop prizes from Flow and Office Supply. Enjoy TV on your mobile with Flow to go and bring the classroom home with Flow Study. Do the smart thing and bundle smarter for back to school with Flow. Visit discoverflow.ky
Tune in to
for
talk
details.
today for the
Terms and
Celebrate
conditions
Cayman
apply.
giveaway contest. Celebrate Cayman is a national celebration of our culture, history, and community as we commemorate the 60th anniversary of our coat of arms. From August 27th to September 26th, Talk Today will be giving away daily prize bags for our resident history buffs. How well do you really know your Cayman history? Test your skills on Talk Today.
In local sports, walkers and runners and pram pushers, get ready. The Fidelity Health Fun Run Series gets rolling next weekend. Things kick off on September 8th, and as in previous years, the fun run will continue for 3 consecutive Saturdays with the final race on September 22nd. The course is a 2-mile loop beginning on Walkers Road opposite SciFec, the site of the old John Gray High School campus, continuing on to South Church Street and finishing on Denham-Thompson Way. All are welcome to participate in the race, including babies in strollers and pets on leashes. The series is free of charge for participants under the age of 15. For other participants, the entry fee for the full series is $30 that's 25 CI, with individual races at $10 each. To register for the full series, visit CaymanActive.com. Registration for individual races can be done online or in person on race day. And in international sports, the U.S. Open women's draw has lost its top 2 seeds after Caroline Wozniacki suffered a shock second-round loss to Ukraine's Lasia Turenko. Then world number 2 from Denmark has reached the U.S. Open final twice, but lost 6-4, 6-2 to the world number 36. World champion number 1, Simona Halep, lost in the first round, while Australian Open champion Wozniacki's defeat was her 3rd early exit this month.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Diaz Miller, MLA, and MLA, Mr. Arden McLean. We have one caller, but before we go to the caller, I just want you to give you 2 things to think about, and then we'll go to the caller, and then you can respond to what I'm saying afterwards. The first one, we want to talk about the pros and cons of having a speaker from amongst the members of the Legislative Assembly as opposed to outside the Legislative Assembly. And then, Mr. McLean, you spoke about to the Premier and pointed out to him that at the end of the day, they can rely on you if they were to lose the support of the coalition government at this point in time, because of any decision that is taken, that the government can rely on your support for the government to continue to function in terms of numbers in the Legislative Assembly.
Well, they would have 10 anyways.
Yeah.
They'd still have the majority.
Yeah. But my question to you would be, what if the Premier were to retort and say, oh, remember that photograph just after the elections when all of the horse trading was going on, one photograph that appeared that Friday night or the Saturday morning with the proposed government, with the now Speaker, Honorable
Yes,
W.
sir.
McKeever Bush,
Yes, sir.
in that and what was being proposed. And, of course, many people have remarked about Mr. Miller's grim face in the background. They could obviously see that he wasn't pleased to be there. He wasn't a happy camper, but he was there anyway. But what if they were to come back and say, can we expect this again to happen, even though you've given the word? We're going to give you think about it. Give you an opportunity.
I don't got to think about that.
I know you don't have to think about it.
I got to think about that.
Let's take the caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning. Good morning to your panel.
Good morning.
I ask you guys, please do not interpret this in no personal way. But I would just like to know when the House going to ever come to any peace amongst themselves. And the members that's in there, the majority of them has been there for many years. They are getting older. They're not getting any younger. I heard a thing at one point in time, some of the government people say, oh, we go on bad, but we sit down and we eat and drink and have a good time. Well, we need to know when you're all having a good time as well, too, because then I am so sick and tired of hearing all this ugliness that's coming out of our governments, that past, present, and future. Our young people can't even get the courage to want to come and be part of our government. When are we going to stop all of this? I'm not here taking that for nobody. I'm not taking that for nobody. Just saying, when is this going to stop? That we're going to have some civilized action inside that house, that we can make our young people want to be part of our government and our island. I just want to leave that with you guys this morning. It's nothing personal, guys.
Sure, we understand. Thank you very much.
I don't take anything personal in this thing called politics. I will stop. Here is my objective in my service to my country. When others stop destroying the institutions that we must preserve for the future generations, I will leave them alone. I have never come on the radio and taken on any speaker, which is an institution unto itself. I have never done that. Now this man has brought that down upon that chair. Every person in this country is talking about it, but nobody wants anyone to say anything about it. This is not for Arden McLean. This is not for Ezra Miller. This is for the generations that we must leave behind. The sanctity of the institutions of this democracy or any democracy must be defended with one's life. And that is what I am prepared to do, to defend the sanctity of those institutions. This is nothing about me hating someone or vice versa. This is about those who would go in those institutions and destroy them and encroach on them. And let me answer, O.C., that segues very nicely into this thing about speaker.
Yes.
O.C.
I just want to make one quick comment, Orrett. That you see, that caller only hears the bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's selective hearing. We spent a lot of time, Mr. McLean and I, down there with Youth Parliament, training young Caymanians and encouraging them to come forward, and they should go and listen to that. There are many things that we have total harmony with the government, as long as the government is doing the right thing for this country for the right reasons. They have our support. Some of the legislation they bring in now, we're going to support it. Those that we have concerns with, it is our responsibility to let the people hear the other side.
Yeah. And people have to realize that it's the nature of the beast. It's adversarial. Politics
That's the
is
nature
adversarial.
of this business. And it's debate and counter-debate.
Yes.
And I do not... There is an unwritten rule in politics. You do not attack the principles. You attack the methods.
Yeah.
You go at the methods. It could be done in a different manner. Yeah. That's all it is. Yeah. Now, about Speaker, and for that matter, in a legislature, legislatures are grounded in conventions and rules. Conventions are not written.
Right.
They are taught by those who came before you. That's my responsibility now as a senior member of Parliament to teach those young ones, all like Chris and every one of them. That's my responsibility. Now, you have to be there to know those things. You have to have served in that Parliament to know those things. When it comes to the Speaker, I do not have a problem either way, whether the speaker's from on the inside or the outside. Here is why. As long as they have had some exposure to those conventions and rules, it is very important that you have those, because if not, you are going to change those conventions. And once you have changed that convention, it spreads throughout the Commonwealth. And it is used for test case and the likes. And not only the Commonwealth, but throughout democracies. We will get on the phone if something comes up in our legislature that has never happened before and nobody has any knowledge of it. We get on the phone, we call all the other legislatures, New Zealand, Australia, wherever, Africa, South Africa. I used to know the speaker very well there. And we find out if it has ever happened there. That's why we have conferences all over the world, so we can network and learn of different experiences. That's why we have our Skin May that is updated every 5 years, 3 to 5 years, to ensure that those things are put in a book. They are recorded. Yeah. Now, I don't have a problem with the speaker coming from on the outside. We have had 2 from on the outside thus far. But I also lean more towards from on the inside once you have had that experience. You need that experience.
But when you're from the inside, as opposed to being a former member of the Legislative Assembly, we need to talk more about avoiding and we mentioned it earlier about the protocols that you have in place to help that particular legislator who's then the speaker in terms of his constituents, his or her constituents.
One of the things that...
But we'll have one caller. Let's grab the caller first. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning, gentlemen. It's Johan Moxham. How's it going?
Fine, sir. Morning. How are you?
Morning.
All right. Just
you call up and make controversy again like you did the other morning. Go ahead.
I think it was described as a barrage of questions. So let me just fire away. Gentlemen, I think I understand what you're saying. Only you guys really know the protocols associated with being elected and how the operation of the House works. What I was going to ask you was, given some of the things that you're saying here on the radio, is there not some sort of ability or fear that the Speaker will attempt to censor you in the House, or more, or worse than that, anytime you have a submission or contribution to the House, just shut you down because this is kind of unprecedented where these sort of conversations are taking place. So that's the first question. And the second question, and I hope it's in the positive, have the opposition, the leader of the opposition, Mr. McLean, as the East End MLA, and that group been provided with a presentation overview about the proposed cruise berthing facility in the way that I understand independent MLA Kenneth Bryan has received a presentation from the Minister of Tourism, and groups like the Chamber of Commerce Council have received presentations from the Minister. I was just trying to figure out why there are select people getting these sort of presentations on something as significant as the largest, most expensive capital works project that is being contemplated in the history of the Cayman Islands. If you guys, as elected individuals and representatives, aren't getting the presentations, what does the government have to hide, and when will they share that information with us, the people? Because ultimately, the people are going to end up contributing to, we pay the requisite taxes, and we're going to be left with a tab if and when this project proceeds. So those are my two questions. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, caller, for that. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we return, give both MLAs an opportunity to respond to the caller. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Are you feeling sick but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough, and sore throat to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
The Cayman Islands Civil Service Association members are asked to note that the final day of school bag supplies and distribution is Friday, August 31st from 3:30 p.m. till 6 p.m. If you did not get a bag and have been inquiring about how to get one, this is your last opportunity to do so. Please remember to bring a copy of your pay slip showing your $5 deduction. That's CICSA members' last day to pick up backpacks. This Friday from 3:30 p.m. till 6 p.m. at the CICSA office, 2nd floor, Hospital Road Plaza.
Did you hear that Vamt Motors has your sale going on now? And you get your choice on the money you'll save on your new car or truck?
My sale? My choice? Really?
Yeah, and they have lots of cars on sale, some up to $7,000 off.
Sounds pretty good.
It gets even better. You can choose to take the full discount, or you can get some or all of it as cash back.
Extra cash back would be great.
Exactly. And you can even use the savings to extend your warranty or service plan so you'll drive worry-free for years longer.
Another good idea.
If you want to upgrade with something like a new roof rack or backup camera, you can choose that too.
Wow, I get to choose?
Yeah, that's why it's your sale, your choice. Going on now at Vamt Motors on Walkers Road, while stocks last.
Hey, are those new glasses on Will?
Yeah, we went to Optical Outlook. Wham, bam, easy exam. Finally an exam he could pass. And we had the glasses the next day. Easiest part of our back-to-school shopping for sure.
Book your child's exam today at Optical Outlook. Call 746-2020. Save 50% off a complete pair of glasses with any student eye exam. From now until August 31st. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook. Located in the Caymanian Village. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
System 1 loaded. 1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record, with your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning, and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, Leader of the Opposition, Mr. MLA, Mr. D, as the Honorable D. Azad Miller, and MLA, Mr. Arden McLean. So we have two questions from Mr. Moxham, and then we have my previous question.
Right. I'll answer the one on the presentations, because that simple an answer is no, 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 and no. And we have asked repeatedly, as the opposition, to get presentations on the airport, right? And notice the picture on the front page yesterday. You don't see none of us there. None of us are invited to the top north.
Okay.
Now, this is a national project, right? That we support. We report, but it must be done properly. We have not been offered a tour of the airport. We have not been asked to look. We have not been offered to look at the plans. We've asked for the cruise ship thing. Nothing. All we hear is the niblets here and niblets there that we go and extract for ourselves, or we get it through FOI. Because I have just submitted a number of FOIs on that airport project, right?
Okay.
And just to go on there, the same speaker now, when we submitted the motion, Mr. Miller and I co-signed, co-sponsored, let me put it that way. He was trying to kill that. The one about the referendum on the dock.
Okay.
He even sent it up to the Attorney General for legal advice on it. Now, for God's sake, a motion, just a motion. And much of it I wouldn't change because he wanted us to change. We said the public has not been informed, and he said he wanted us to put in there something about some of the public. Listen, public can be used singularly and plural, in plural sense, okay? You're the public in OC as an individual. And the whole gathering of the is public too, It just, anyway, I'm no English teacher. Anyway, let me address those two, and I trust that Johan listening. I know he listening. He asks if I'm not afraid McKeever will curtail me. He has already done enough. What more can he do? He curtails me every time I get up to speak, which is on behalf of the people that I represent. And it's not depriving me, Johan, it's depriving the people who elected me to represent them, to be their voice. Now, he has the right to suspend me, but it must be in accordance with the rules. If I had come on this radio and taken the speaker on and brought that speakership into disrepute because of rulings that he had made from that chair, then I am walking on thin ice and it's much cold water underneath my feet, okay? And I can hear the ice cracking when you do that, okay? He has come out on the radio and brought the speakership into disrepute, not me. He did that. And I must defend that institution that he has no respect for. That is what I'm doing here today. And if that means...
That you believe he has no respect for.
Well, there is no respect for it if you're going to encroach on it. If you're going to change the narrative of that institution by coming out and threatening the public that I represent, that if they say anything, he's going to sue them. You cannot do that. And I am going to defend that institution with my life. Okay. Now, you talked about this photo after election. Me telling, me giving the Premier insurance that I ain't going to get in nothing with McKeever to remove the government. They will still have 10, so they will still have the majority. They'll just have bring a speaker from on the outside. You got plenty of them about the place. You got CG, you got Linford and all them that can, Dr. Pearson, all them can do it. Bring CG out of doing nothing. That's how this should be, across the aisle, okay? But you talk about the photo. Oh, see, only talking about the photo. There's some underlying stuff about that photo that this country does not know. Okay? Now let me...
I know you came on at one time and told us some of it, but we didn't get all of it.
About that photo.
No.
Let me explain to you now what that photo was about.
Okay.
That was about Mr. Miller and I going in there under duress. They called us and we acquiesced. Not duress, but we acquiesced to go there. We decided on the outside of that meeting before we reached there that we were not going cabinet with McKeever. Okay? But we were going to ensure that the PPM didn't do it. And we were going to hold the strings without us being in cabinet. That was doomed. Okay? But we had to slow down the whole negotiation thing. Mm-hmm. The one that there wasn't any picture taken is the one this country needs to know since you opened this bag of worms. I know.
Okay, good.
The one that there was no picture taken was Jewel and Mose with me and Ezra trying to broker a deal to remove Alden. That's the one I don't know about. Whoa.
And we were left with a shake hand, an agreement to come back to us.
And no one took a picture of that one?
But we weren't.
Which did not.
We are honorable people.
Which did not
include people.
Alden being or even their cabinet. Okay? That's the one I need to talk about. On the want it all, there are much secrets that lie between my two ears, okay?
That's a bombshell.
So let's not open it now.
That's a bombshell. That's a bombshell. I don't know where to go from there.
Listen to me.
I don't know where to go from there.
I told you to tell it all now.
I told you not to ask it.
Okay, let's get back. Now, let's talk a little bit more.
That was an interesting agreement which we might have to discuss sometime.
But nothing in writing in that?
I have all the notes, my friend. Don't worry about that.
No recordings?
And I will write my memoirs if I live long enough.
What was agreed and who was assigned to what? And who was going to be minister this, and who was going to be minister that, and who was going to be speaker.
Now, was this when the meeting was initiated? Did you know that was the way that the meeting was going to go, or was the meeting intended for something else? No. And then this came into the conversation afterwards in terms of the removal.
The purpose of the picture that was put out Friday night. Was to force the PPM to come talk to me in Arden.
Okay.
We knew the public was going to put that forward.
Yes.
Because up to that point, they would not talk to us.
Yes.
And I received a call 3 o'clock that morning, Friday, Saturday morning.
And then you all met on Sunday?
And I went meeting with them by 4 o'clock that evening.
That day.
Okay.
Same day.
Oh, see, don't open this up now, you know.
And that's a meeting that took place on Smith Road?
Oh, yeah. Smith Road, that's where I had the office.
Yeah.
Oh, see. There are certain...
Oh, they had the people driving across, see who was there and all that. We know all that.
Oh, see, there is more to tell.
It will be told.
My memoirs will be entitled only in the Cayman Islands. Okay? Listen to me, O.C.
Mine is,
and
I was right, they were wrong.
You know I save paper. Everybody knows that.
Okay. We have one caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, honorable gentlemen.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
You know, I just have a few little questions about the board, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Again, I'm no captain, but I was just wondering how deep are they going to have the dredge out of the waterfront? Because these large ships, they have more draft than a little canoe. And how deep are they planning on dredging, and how wide an area? Because to me, this would affect the current flow. And some captains you can call and correct me on that if I'm wrong. But dredging out 10 feet is more than 50 feet. Affect the currents a lot more. And we already see what happened along by Marriott and down by West Bay before we stop, and the currents are changed. I am very concerned about what this may do to the area on the beach, on 7 Mile Beach. So for me, if this affects the sand, like how I think it could affect it, we are not going to have any 7 Mile Beach to attract tourists. And then the people that have buildings, hotels there, they'll have a field day suing government. So I'd just like some response to gentlemen on those things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller.
And this may be way off, but the last time I heard, I think those passenger liners need a minimum of 40 feet
I would think that would be the minimum.
I think it's 40.
That's all ballast and everything.
Yeah, that's full of down because they're not that deep. They have stabilizers and all kinds of stuff. But I believe it's around 40 feet. That's why when this was being done before and they were trying to go straight out, they were going to have to dig it out down to the 40 feet because you were going to bring them closer. But I understand now they have redesigned it because that's one of the things I said. Redesign it, go out until you hit the 40 feet and then go northwest. And Turks and Caicos did that. And once you go northwest, then you got a longer ledge to go on to along the 40 feet, you see. Okay. And then they can come right in with it broadside them. So I don't know what they have done. I understand that they're redesigning it to go in deeper water. But
we haven't seen it, so we don't know.
But, you know...
The latest information I have is somebody who got a glimpse of the plan told me that they had moved one of the piers, proposed 2 piers, into deeper water, and that is where they would put the bigger ships, and then the smaller ones that come here now would be able to use the other ones, so they would reduce the pattern, the footprint of the dredging.
Well, anything can happen. You know, we talk about not... this thing not being able to be built in deeper water. Really? That is the biggest piece of rubbish I've ever heard.
It just costs more money.
Let's look at the North Sea. 2,000-3,000 feet and they anchor oil rigs.
Yeah, they don't move.
And they don't move.
And Georgetown Harbor don't get like the North Sea, what people tell me.
Absolutely.
I've never been there. Yeah. But my daddy tell me that they don't know rough on that in the world.
They are engineering miracles that can happen. They are engineering... we can do engineering out there that you can activate right down there, right on the drop off, and it won't move.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, I want to talk about the referendum, the private members' motion in terms of what is being sought there, and whether or not, if the government acquiesces to the private members' motion and brings a referendum forward, what are the advantages and disadvantages of the government-moved referendum as opposed to a people's-initiated referendum, and which would be your choice? Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
The Cayman Pharmacy Group provides you with more than just prescriptions. We strive to make your health our concern. We recognize the complexities of pharmaceuticals and the need to personalize your care. That is why we offer personalized one-on-one counseling. Our pharmacists are here to assist you with questions you may have about your health and the medications you've been prescribed. With West Bay Pharmacy and CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, the Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. We care about your health.
Did you hear that Vant Motors has your sale going on now? And you get your choice on the money you'll save on your new car or truck?
My sale? My choice? Really?
Yeah! And they have lots of cars on sale. Some up to $7,000 off.
Sounds pretty good.
It gets even better. You can choose to take the full discount or you can get some or all of it as cash back.
Extra cash back would be great.
Exactly. And you can even use the savings to extend your warranty or service plan so you'll drive worry-free for years longer.
Another good idea.
If you want to upgrade with something like a new roof rack or backup camera, you can choose that too.
Wow, I get to choose?
Yeah, that's why it's your sale, your choice. Going on now at Vant Motors on Walkers Road, while stocks last.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, Honourable Diaz Miller, Leader of the Opposition, and MLA Mr. Arden McLean, talking about the private members' motion in relation to a referendum on the port berthing facility. Mr. Miller, I'm going to throw it over to you in terms of what is the intent,
right? The
purpose and intent of your motion.
But if you recall how Mr. McLean and I handled the one-man, one-vote referendum, the reason we bring in a private member's motion asking the government to do it, two reasons. We will be able to get a public debate because we will say what our concerns are, what our expectations are. The government will have the opportunity to counter or criticisms of the port and tell their story. So the public will hear a debate on the pros and cons of having the port there, etc., etc. The reason why we would like to have a government-sponsored referendum is because the threshold is lower. It's 50% of those who voted. And this is deliberately so, because the government must be allowed to govern. And if the government sees that they need a referendum so the public can endorse their program, then the threshold for that is 50% of those, plus one of those who vote. A people-initiated referendum, the threshold is higher. It's 50% plus one of the registered voters. Right? Yes. So we would first attempt to get a government referendum. If the government does not support the motion, and I would argue that the government should be and will be hard-pressed to not support this motion for a referendum, because what we're doing here is we're giving the people the opportunity to decide on this project. If what the government claims is true, and there are many instances in Parliament when both the Premier, but particularly the Minister responsible, the Honourable Moses Colonel, has proclaimed that this is a project that the people supports and is good for the project. And if this project is as good as it is, they should be happy to have a referendum and be able to demonstrate that the majority wants the pair.
In the absence of any other type of polling being
but and that's the most accurate form of polling you get. People can tell you anything over the phone.
Yes.
And you could be calling people from China. I don't know. You'll list the people to call, but you can't list their names or anything. In this case, the people go and vote, and you decide. Just like on the Constitution. Remember, to bring the Constitution into effect, it was approved by a referendum. 50% or greater of those who voted. So we expect the government to support the motion for the referendum, because if the port is a good thing, and if the public supports it, then they should have no fear. And I see in the paper today that they've told the Chamber of Commerce that they don't expect to sign contracts or decide on the final bidder until the end of this year. So we have time to hold a referendum, because it's not a complicated thing. On the other hand, in the absence of, if the government decides not to support the referendum, then we have to support and join in the People's Initiated Referendum. And we need to get 5,300, just to round it off, signatures on that, and they have to be registered voters.
Right.
We don't believe that that's a difficult thing to get, because we are not asking people whether you want a dock or not. This is not a referendum to stop the dock.
Okay.
This is a referendum to let the people decide whether they want the dock or not, i.e., those in support should vote for the referendum, because they will have the opportunity to exercise their democratic right at the polls when the referendum is called.
Now,
right?
now, you say it isn't an effort to stop the dock, but if the referendum is successful to the extent that people decide to vote not in favor of it, then it effectively stops it.
Yes, but shouldn't it? If this is a project that the people don't want,
but it's almost like double speak. You're saying
not
to stop
double speak. This is being
but
honest with the people.
Okay,
what you are voting, what you are signing for in this referendum, in the petition, you are signing for the government to hold a referendum. That's one act.
Yes.
The actual act of deciding and voting for or against takes place in the polling booth.
And that will be determined also by the wording of the referendum. What is put in that, and of course the government will have control over that.
Exactly, the government will determine the question in cabinet and bring it down to the LA. Yes, so the government has all the advantages in the referendum process, which is the way it should be.
Yes,
but the people must be given the opportunity to speak.
Okay,
and what we're asking the people to do is sign this petition to say to the government, we want you to hold a referendum. The government keeps saying we have the support of the people. Then let's hold a referendum. Give every registered voter that opportunity to go to the polls, a separate event, and vote, yes, I want the dog, no, I don't want the dog. Whatever the results of that are, it's binding on the country. If we have called, as we're doing in this private member motion, for the government to hold a referendum, and the government holds a referendum, and the majority of the people say, we want the dog, we're happy with that. We don't subscribe because there's no methodology that the government has used that can demonstrate to us that the majority of the people want this dog.
Okay.
The representation that we get is that many people are concerned about the dog. The other reason we want this debate next week in the Legislative Assembly is because we want the people to hear what we are not hearing, what we are not being told, what they are not being told, right? Because the government claims that all this information is in the public. Well, we spent the last week trying to get on websites to get this information. We went on we started off what we thought was the right place. Port Authority website. Nada. Port Authority board, apparently, from information that I have, is having very little or no involvement in this process, which I propose and issue that is ultra vires the Port Authority law. That's ultra vires the procurement law. Because those two laws clearly delineate what the roles of cabinet, minister, chief officer, board, chief executive officer are in those processes. So we want the debate.
Okay, we have two callers. Let's see if we can accommodate both. We'll take one and then take the 9 o'clock break and take the other caller after. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
George Banks. Good morning to your guests, my good representatives, the opposition leader, Mr. Miller, and Mr. McLean. I like to play around with the little devil's advocate, and then in that process bring out the two scenarios. For example, what Mr. Miller is talking about, the referendum. If you just jar the door and you say let's have a referendum, but then the people say, listen, I don't have enough information. I want more information. And then the government got to say, well, okay, let's have a meeting in the town hall and bring out the maps. And then the people say, well, I didn't know about this before. What happens in that process is that the people will not vote because they'll say, I'm not voting for something I don't know nothing about. And this and that. And I'm not voting because I didn't have no input into it. What will happen is, as the host just said just now, it will be a total failure in terms of voter turnout, and by extension, any politician with salt will then extrapolate that and say, listen, you only had 20% of the people turn out to vote, so that means that people don't want the port. Listen, we need that port, we need the piers, we have a growing economy, we have a growing country, we have to provide for the future. We have to stop playing games and move this country forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. Well, I think we can grab the other caller and then respond afterwards.
Well, I'd like to respond to him
right now.
Right now.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I disagree with him entirely. I don't think that putting that port out there and removing from this economy over the next 25 years close to $1 billion on some person financing a $200 million port is good for this country.
Okay, and what?
Because we're going to be paying it.
And what if the financing was different? My issue, and we don't have enough time for the caller, so I can just fill this 1 minute space here. My issue with it at the end of the day is that how many government projects that we have undertaken in the Cayman Islands, major projects that we have undertaken that we really have needed to go to some private entity or outside entity for funding and then to hand it over to them. So far, we have been able to manage everything ourselves and as a result have control, have full ownership over it. Why in this particular case, while it's an extraordinary amount of money, sum of money, why in this particular case can't we do that, continue to do that? Are we in a particular financial position that it puts everything out of whack if we decide that we're going to finance it through the government so that we have full control over it?
But OC, the financing of the dock comes from the passenger liners, the revenue therefrom. So we not got control over that? Or?
Yeah.
So why are we going to give it away?
Well, that is my question. Folks, we have one caller. We're going to ask that caller to hang in there for us. We're going to take a quick break for the headline 9 o'clock news, not long. When we return, we're going to take that caller and the conversation will continue.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
The Cayman Islands Civil Service Association members are asked to note that the final day of school bag supplies and distribution is Friday, August 31st from 3:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. If you did not get a bag and have been inquiring about how to get one, this is your last opportunity to do so. Please remember to bring a copy of your pay slip showing your $5 deduction. That's CICSA members' last day to pick up backpacks. This Friday from 3:30 p.m. till 6 p.m. at the CICSA office, 2nd floor, Hospital Road Plaza.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
Kids between the ages of 10 and 14 are now being invited to submit photos in this year's Fun Under the Sun photography competition. Kids can submit one photo per student to fununderthesun2018@gmail.com. Today is the deadline. U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened to withdraw the U.S. from the World Trade Organization, claiming it treats his country unfairly. He says, quote, if they don't shape up, I would withdraw from the WTO. The WTO was established to provide rules for global trade and resolve disputes between countries. He says the body too often rules against the U.S., although he concedes it has won some recent judgments. And the Catholic Church in Australia has formally rejected a landmark inquiry's recommendation that priests should be forced to report sexual abuse disclosed during confession. The 5-year inquiry found tens of thousands of children had suffered abuse at Australian institutions. The Catholic Church had the most cases. On Friday, church leaders accepted most of the inquiry's recommendations, but their stance on confession may set up future conflict with governments. Those are your headlines. I'm Kersley Fuller.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I trust that our caller is still with us. We're going, as promised, to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Thanks for being so patient.
Good morning, James O.C. and Mr. Miller and Hardin. All right.
Morning.
Yes.
Yeah, there's something I didn't quite, I think I didn't quite get the answer for, because to me, if I'm going to vote on any referendum, there's a certain thing that I need to know before. It is accepted to me that you're going to have to close 4th Street Road because there'll be 200 people at once. So we got to block that off from traffic. I also want to know, I think you have to use some dredges because these big ships now, they can't just sail up to the port. You're going to have to get barges, to push them around. Is that right?
Sir, the problem we have is we can't intelligently argue or answer your question. We understand that, yes, there's going to have to be some dredging. We cannot definitively tell you what the amount of dredging is because we haven't seen the plans. That's the problem we have in trying to be more definitive in answering your question, right? We know that there was an EIA done, which involved some dredging, because we've seen copies of that. We understand that there's a new design to move at least one of the piers, if not both of the piers, further out into deeper water to reduce the footprint of the dredging. We don't know what that footprint is now. So it's accepted that they're going to have to do some dredging. I think that's accepted.
Yeah, I understand that. But what about you would need tugs for these big ships, right?
Well, I mean, the captains that I talk to tell me that the biggest problem with the design is that the cruise ships are broadside onto the prevailing winds. And either they're going to have big tugs or they're going to have some issues because of the proximity of one pier to the next, and the number of ropes and stuff that they're going to have to put on the dock, and the strength of the dock to hold that. Because basically, a cruise ship is like they got more above the water than under the water, and that acts like a sail. So they have some concerns about they either going to have some powerful tugs to assist the boats with their thrusters and whatnot. So they're there, but again, there is no evidence that any of the Cayman maritime expertise has been utilized by the government in designing these docks.
Okay, caller, we're going to ask you to leave us there since that's your second call, and we have two other callers queued up. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Oh, see, good morning.
Morning, sir. How are you?
Not bad. Yourself?
Fine, thanks.
Just a quick question or comment. I'll comment also to your guests there, the two gentlemen, Mr. McLean and Izzard. This will give me my answer, yes or no, on the berthing facilities. Tell me who will profit from this berthing facilities that they want to put in, and that'll give me my answer, yes or no. I'll hang up and listen for your answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller.
The ones who are going to profit is the ones that have the shops downtown on the waterfront that they want to bring these passengers into service. The other side of the coin that nobody's mentioning is that the EIA itself, and unless the business case does in fact identify that in putting the piers in Georgetown, they are going to remove between $19 and $27 million from small businesses in the economy of Georgetown on an annual basis. So there are going to be quite a few of the smaller businesses that are going to suffer from this poor, while the big businesses have all the advantages to gain from it.
Can you? You've quantified that, but can you demonstrate it visually for us in terms of
if you look on the waterfront, you have a number of dive shops, dive operators, and restaurants that cater to diving in Georgetown Harbor. They're not going to be nothing to dive, so those businesses will have to close, right? Or they'll have to move their dive operations to some other areas of the island, because things like the Balboa and all that is gone, right? And Soto Reef, all those places is gone. So those businesses now that
they are gone, or they may be gone depending on the design.
Well, I can only tell you what the EIA says. I haven't seen the design.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
We haven't seen the redesign.
Yeah.
Right. So, but those are the areas that are going to be effective, and there's quite a few of those. And based on what they're currently doing in volume in the business case and in the EIA, that is the projection that the Georgetown economy will lose that on an annual basis because those businesses will have to go other way.
One of my big concerns, mind you, I'm first was a marine engineer, and I understand these things and how they work and that kind of stuff. But and I'm not overly against the dock, I want everybody to understand that, OC. Okay. I'm not. As long as we, as a people, understand and appreciate what it's going to do to us as a people, it is going to change, one, the landscape in Georgetown, That's number one. Number two, we are going to, right now, our tenders, I believe, around 200, the maximum one. When we bring those tenders in, we probably getting 3 of them per hour, maybe 3. So we're talking 600 people put on that dock per hour. And that's in both directions now. Now, OC, when you get that ship tied up, and statistics prove that 90% of the people come off, when you get those ships tied up alongside a dock where they can move freely, on and off, with the exception of their security, you could potentially put 20,000 people on North Church Street. We don't have the infrastructure there. Now, I see where they're saying that they're going to do some revitalization down there. Do some
but you'll also have some control over the number of ships that you're going to allow to come in at any given time.
So, with 4 ships alongside that 4 of them all big one, what you do?
But does it have to be 4? Does it have to be 4?
Well, but if you have four schedules,
7, you know.
If you have,
they're not proposing the limit in the ships.
Okay. If you got 7 scheduled, 6, I see them out there 5. What you gonna do? Bring in 1 and leave out the 4 out there with a brand new dock? No, that's not how the economy works. That's not how the economy of that dock is going to work. Period. I mean,
my question is cruise tourism an essential part of the Cayman Islands economy? And if it is, then how do we continue to ensure that it stays that way? If it isn't an essential part, then why do we have it in the first place?
Let me see if I can answer it this way.
Okay.
I accept that cruise tourism is an essential part of our economy, and that there are Caymanians who rely on that. But more than enough is too much. Here's why I say that. In the late 80s and early 90s, when I was in executive council at the time, we had a problem with cruise ships. 6 and 7 wanted to come. Our solution was we limited them to 4. And they had to adjust their schedules, and there was a whole pile of upheaval for the first season that we did that on. By the end of that season, the business people were telling us that they were glad we did it. Why? Because we controlled the numbers. They could do better customer services, their businesses were up, they were making more money. When you get that volume of people, you have no control over anything. You're going to have any store that you go in with 20,000 people in Georgetown in an hour and a half, 2 hours delivery. There's going to be a line everywhere. So rather than line up at Hard Rock to get a hamburger and milkshake, the people can say, well, like you walk back board the ship and already paid for. So you can lose that business. And we have to understand that the spend, according to the Caribbean Tourism Association, by a stay-over visitor versus a cruise visitor is 11.5 times more. Now, we need a certain amount of cruise business. But what we need to do to ensure that we get that is not to spend $200 million. Because understand now, we're already getting 90% of all of the passengers on what they call the western itinerary of the cruise industry. That is Jamaica, Cayman, Cozumel, Key West, those areas, right? So we are going to spend $200 million to get a percentage of 10%. Because you can't get no more than 100%. And it's only 10% we're not getting now.
But what about maintaining that 90% that we have also? We have to also ensure that we keep that. We retain that.
Right. And what do we do to ensure that? We improve the quality of the experience of the cruise passenger. Billing the port is not necessarily going to do that. In fact, I would argue that billing the pier is going to destroy the experience of the cruise passenger and make it worse. Because they're not going to be able to get into the shops, they're not going to be able to get into the restaurants, they're going to be madness down there with the tour operators and everything else. So what we need to do is we need to improve the quality of the experience. My personal position is we should do it incrementally. Mm-hmm. Why not look at the alternative, which is not looked at in the business case, which is required by the procurement law, of improving the tender, getting better tenders, multi-hull tenders, getting more tenders, right? Because the EIA itself says, right, that billing the payer is not necessarily going to increase or speed up the unloading of the ships, okay?
Mm-hmm. But the tender, because that is privately owned, privately run at this point in time, you would have to convince those persons to make whatever necessary investments.
The information
to increase
information I have is that the private owners of the tenders would be willing today to invest in improving the tenders if the government would say we're not billing the.
Because they stand to lose as it stands now. They're positioned to lose a lot of business if those pairs are put in place.
And there are incremental things that we could do to improve the experience. How about putting up a building down there for the people to go in, where you can operate like the airport? They can clear some of the security, etc., as they arrive at the port, as opposed to waiting until they get on the tender or lined up in front of the cruise port. Because you can look at other Caribbean islands or other places that have tenders, there are lines from the cruise ship waiting to get in. If you've been on a cruise, you know there's lines inside the cruise ship trying to get off because there are security and other things that people have to go through. Yes. One of the biggest things is that they send them through because they don't want them to bring liquor on board, because they want them to bring their liquor. and what we need to, how we need to help Cayman small businesses is the government need to put rules in place that benefit the businesses here and prevent the cruise ships from taking the majority of the profit from the tour guides and all that sort of stuff. Okay. We have the authority to do those things.
Right. Folks, we have to take a commercial break. When we return, the conversation will continue. One of the questions that I will have and I want to discuss is that a project of this size that is being proposed, do we have sufficient structures in place to ensure that there is transparency in the process and that no public official, either elected or otherwise, are able to dip their hands in the till? Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands Civil Service Association members are asked to note that the final day of school bag supplies and distribution is Friday, August 31st from 3:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. If you did not get a bag and have been inquiring about how to get one, this is your last opportunity to do so. Please remember to bring a copy of your pay slip showing your $5 deduction. That's SIXA members' last day to pick up backpacks. This Friday from 3:30 p.m. till 6 p.m. at the SIXA office, 2nd floor, Hospital Road Plaza.
My mom works at the Water Authority. She makes sure we have a clean beach by making our drinking water clean. We use less bottled water. Cayman will stay beautiful.
This World Water Week, the Water Authority invites you to take back the tap and choose tap water over plastic bottled water. Visit our social media pages to learn more.
Take back the tap.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Can you explain what a less than container load is for shipment and what your minimum charge is?
Sure. A less than container load, or LCL, is any overseas shipment that does not require the full space of a container. At Seaboard, we have great rates for small packages. Just let us know the dimensions of your package and we'll help you out from there.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Not all insurance is created equal, but who has the time to shop around? Take the guesswork out of your insurance coverage with Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Let us match you with the best coverage to suit your needs at a price to suit your wallet. Plus, get superior customer service from dedicated claims professionals to ensure speedy claims processing. Get your insurance through Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor, continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Honorable Desert Miller, Leader of the Opposition, and MLA representing the District of East End, Mr. Arden McLean. We have one caller before we go to the caller. I have a WhatsApp message that reads, good morning, Mr. Connor, Mr. Miller, and Mr. McLean. As I listen to the discussion this morning and whereby Caymanian businesses will be lost because of the dock building, my question is, can the public be assured these businesses you speak of are native Caymanian owned or owned by foreign companies under a Caymanian front?
I can't answer that.
Right.
The person can answer that, but they're Caymanian involvement.
Yes, yeah.
And
you're speaking of potential loss.
No, what you understand is that money is being extracted will no longer be in the economy.
Yes.
Right? So that affects everybody.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC. Good morning, Mr. Miller. Good morning, Mr.
Morning, sir.
Arden.
Okay.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention something. I see we have been talking about this revitalization of Georgetown, all that kind of thing. And the one thing that I have told government from back in, I think when Tom Jefferson was Minister for Tourism, and they had a meeting down at the Marriott. I don't know if you guys remember that. And they had two guys from Tampa that came in, was doing this EIA. And they spoke about what was going on. And at that meeting, I think I got up, I spoke about some of the things that I saw there, because we know for a fact that if you dredge out there, every grain of sand on 7 Mile is going to be going down in the holes. So you're going to have to be constantly dredging and all that. But what I wanted to talk about this morning was this revitalization in Georgetown. And I met with the minister, and I met with the people who were working on it. In fact, I did some stuff with them. But the thing that concerns me about this revitalization they're going to do, and it makes no sense to go spend a bunch of money doing that, because the one thing that's going to come back to haunt us, and already we've seen this, that every building in Georgetown is on a septic tank. There's no central sewer up there, and that is one of the problems that we have with doing anything in Georgetown right now, because down the road, in fact, already some of the sewage is coming out right on the waterfront. You hear people talking about it. If we don't get things like that in place first, Georgetown, whether you have a dock or not, is going to be a place that's going to be, you can just have to start tearing down buildings and stuff. That's the one thing I can figure. I just want to see whatever government does, that it's done properly, and that look how many of these EIAs have we done, and these reports we've had since that time. I think it was 1992.
Caller, can you tell us what you want to see done, please?
But what I want to see done is whatever we do here to stop one government gets in and they do something, and that information that they've gathered on this thing is never reused. To go back and to spend more money, thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars on these new EIAs to tell them what? You mean to tell me all those that we had before didn't worth anything? Why can't we go back and take a look at these things, guys? This is what we have to do. You know, these are the things. The waste of money is one of the things that I see is happening in Cayman. And we got to stop that kind of thing. Gentlemen, I hope that Ezard and Arden and the rest of the people in the Legislative Assembly can get their heads together. Everybody gets together and decide we're going to do something because it's the right thing to do, and not be thinking about party or individuals who's involved.
Okay. Thank you very much, caller, for that. Thank you very much. Let's get the other caller. No caller at this point in time. Opportunity to respond.
This is what we've been saying, and certainly neither Mr. McLean or I can be accused of undoing projects that were ongoing when we went in government. Both of us built on what we found there, and we think that that's the right thing to do.
It certainly is that you're going to get some of that in every country in the world. Yeah. The fact that the people has given a party a mandate, they had to be campaigning
for change,
contrary to what was going on. Yeah. So you're going to get some of it, But certainly I agree with Book said that we need to.
It shouldn't be for political one-upmanship
or brinkmanship,
right?
You know, we don't do that. But look at me when I went in there, Gilbert, in the middle of a campaign when he was at the East West Arterial. That the best thing ever happened to the road network in this country. Gilbert did it.
Yeah.
All I did was build on what Gilbert left there.
That's right.
That's all I did.
Let's go back to my question about the project of this size. And I'm going to refer briefly to British Virgin Islands, where one of the ministers there was lamenting the fact that they have not been able yet to access a $60 million Caribbean Development Bank loan for the rebuilding of the British Virgin Islands because of all of the procedures that the CDB has put in place to ensure that those funds are properly spent. Now, we see in the news, in the BVI, they have a history of issues with tendering processes, awarding contracts without tendering and things of those nature. And lenders are going to ensure that proper procedures, any responsible institutional lender is going to ensure that proper policies are put in place. So that goes to my question about ensuring that there are proper policies and procedures in place here to ensure that people don't dip, either elected or unelected officials don't dip their hand in the till. And they may not necessarily have direct access to funds, but we see in a lot of big projects where officials are bribed in certain ways, set up secret accounts and other jurisdictions to ensure that money is funneled to them. How can we ensure that? And again, I need you, and we don't have a whole lot of time to discuss why can not the Cayman Islands government fund this, or the people of the Cayman Islands fund this project themselves so that they are the owners of it, that they have control over it, that we don't end up giving the revenue and control of this port to some entity for 25, 40 years for it to revert back into the hands of Caymanians. So far, in all that we have done here, and most of the things that we have done it on our own, had control over it. When we built the port, under Mr. Berkeley Bush, we had control over it. We have our international airport, we have control over it. We have a water authority, we have control over it. Why not this?
Well, to answer your first question on the necessary legislation and institutions in place to at least ensure that we have adequate protections from the long reaches of corruption, I believe it is safe to say that the public authorities law, the procurement law, the standards in public life law in particular, provide those necessary processes and procedures and protections and limits, who can do what, etc., etc. Mm-hmm. Problem is, they are being constructively avoided on various reasons. The Standards in Public Health Law was first passed in 2014. There was an uproar by some of the people who served on boards, etc., etc. We did some major amendments in 2016 at their request, but it still has not commenced now 2 years later, right? The only impediment right now in terms of the government doing this project itself is the FFR and the restrictions that we have placed on ourselves of 10% of revenue to service the debt and no more than 80% of the annual debt. Ratio. Right, service ratio. Mm-hmm. So we could either adjust those, right, to allow it to take place, or we can try and find a way to do it. But I believe would be a better alternative than giving up. The other thing that people need to understand when you hear these people talking about it's not going to cost us nothing, let me tell you something. That's the biggest deception that could ever be perpetrated on this thing. Right now, the cruise passenger revenue that goes to the port subsidizes the cargo operations so that we can at least keep the cost of living down a little bit. When you take that out to give it to the person who finances this port development, the port is going to have to increase the charges on cargo, particularly if we are again spending 30 to 35 million to expand the cargo port, which there is. If you talk to the people who operate the ships, tell you it's unnecessary and it's not needed. That has to be paid for, right? And therefore, the port charges are going to go up, and the cost of living is going to go up with it. And the Cayman, if we have revenue now that is coming into the country from the cruise industry, and it is being used, some in government revenue, some in the Port Authority, some to service debt. If we remove that revenue and give it to some other external entity for the next 25 years, it has to be replaced. And there's only one way to replace it, is to put charges on the people.
Okay, one of our listeners has written in and said long-term effects should be seriously considered. That is what will it cost the Cayman Islands, and costs are not only the cost to build it, but what will no longer exist, just a lovely view closing down of business. Can we check and see if we have a voice note? This person may have sent a voice note as well. And one of our listeners have actually gone on to a different topic, and maybe you can answer this as well. He says, would you be able to find out if the removal of the term limits for the application of permanent residence from the immigration law will go to the House for debate in the sitting as planned? This matter is causing a number of persons significant hardship. Most of these persons are those who have lived here and contributed for a significant number of years. Thanks for your very informative program. I think you should be on 5 days per week. Donna should also host her own talk show on Radio Cayman as well. I somehow prefer to get my information on serious issues affecting the islands from Radio Cayman.
Amen.
Big plug for Radio Cayman.
Amen. Thank you.
Amen.
But see, that's done. We did that.
Oh, okay.
You know, that old legger, we're calling these people about ghost Caymanians. They're my people because they grew up here with me. Many of them. You remember those that dropped through that thing there?
Yeah.
We removed that. We removed that last meeting, you know.
Okay.
Where you remember you said it had the 1 year thing, and by the 1 year up after the 20th of December, something like that. 2004.
There was a sunset clause.
The sunset clause. Yes. And then the further clause which said you had to do it before you were 24. Yeah. Remember that, OC?
Yes.
Before you were 24, we removed that too.
Yes.
That has now been removed. Yes. So they can apply anytime they want. So what that has done is open up now for, and you know, as hard as it was for the Premier, he did admit in there that it was my insistence that why they did that, why they did it. But I know there's no time frame to try and truncate them, which is what I had asked for.
Yes.
You know, that's what I said.
Yes. Do we have a voice note? Okay, we're going to play that now as well from one of our callers. Go right ahead.
Listening to your show this morning, and I hope you play this on air. This is for Caymanians to really wake up and think about and try to answer. I used to work in the jewelry industry back in 2003 in Renard Mark, some shops out on the waterfront. There was one particular day when 11 ships came in. There was no place to put all 11 ships. They had to divert some of them to Cayman Brac. We didn't have a cruise berthing then, and it couldn't hold us, the people nor the ships. What are we going to do with a cruise berthing now? That's one thing. The next thing, yesterday there was no ships. In the slow season, there's 1 and 2 ships a day, some days. So what about the days that we don't have no ships? How can we justify paying such a heavy price and don't have nothing coming in? That's just a simple question that I'd like to have somebody answer. I mean, sometimes people think about it, and I think that it just goes in the back of their minds after they think about it. But it need to be in the front of their minds, because this cruise ship berthing thing not going away until somebody put it to rest. Or until, like Mr. Miller was saying, we vote for a referendum on whether to do it or whether not to do it.
Okay. I want to thank that caller. Very,
all I got to say to that caller and to the people of this country, if you think all of your intelligence is concentrated down the ILA, just look on the outside of it. That's when the need look.
But I think that this is one of our my concerns with the business case that the government is relying so heavily on to do this big expenditure. That business case is predicated that from 2013 we were going to lose 1% of our cruise passengers every year going forward. The complete opposite has happened, according to the Minister for Tourism. He's reported at least 3%, some years more, year-on-year growth. So we're looking at somewhere between 15 and 20% in that 5-year period that he has been there, as opposed to an 8% decline as per the business plan, business case scenario. The other problem that people need to understand is that the business case says we're going to need 2.3 million tourists to service the debt. We're currently getting 1.8, 1.9. So we're looking to add 400,000 passengers 500,000 passengers per year. But that is not spread over a 12-month period. That 500,000 is going to be concentrated from November to March. That 6-month period, right? So it's not possible to spread it over so that you can reduce the impact, right? So I want Caymanians to understand what Georgetown is going to look like on Christmas.
All right. Now, in the Cayman Islands, and I'm going to say this without fear of contradiction, but some people will probably knock me on the head for it, but we have a history in the Cayman Islands of being myopic in our approach to development. We see it with our airport. We saw it, with our dock when there was a big uproar when Mr. Berkeley Bush wanted to build a dock, and as a result, it was built. And then I believe every member of the Legislative Assembly or something like that, or the government lost their seat after that election. How do we ensure that we are not myopic in our approach to the cruise industry, the importance of the cruise industry to the Cayman Islands economy, and to ensure that we're not having this debate 10 or 20 years down the line where it'll cost us much more than that.
You understand, no one, at least not me,
yes,
and I made that very clear,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm not against the dock.
Right.
I want to know that it is going to be of benefit to this country. We're not just going to throw a blob of cement out there and not think of the consequences of doing it. That's my concern. And that's why I am sponsoring this motion to get a referendum on it, because there's no other way. They won't show us what it is. If they had showed us what they were planning, then our impact might have been much less. Show us what it is, or show the people what it is. And I don't want most come there talking this foolishness about commercial sensitive and stuff. This is the people's money. It's not yours, Mose. Where you get that from?
Okay.
Final comment. While I agree that we shouldn't be myopic, we shouldn't put on blinders either. We should not accept and understand the repercussions and the effect of cruise tourism on the much more lucrative stayover tourism.
Mm-hmm.
That same 500,000 that we're talking about now, where they can go. Remember now that Royal Palms is gone as a place that they can go to the beach. Tika Beach is gone. But what handle place called?
That's same.
Same area. That is gone.
Calico Jacks.
Calico Jacks. The only thing left is Public Beach.
And by the governor's house.
Yeah, you've been down by Public Beach lately?
Mm-hmm.
It looked like them pictures you see China.
Who did you say? Governor's house?
Yeah.
Do we have a governor?
The government house.
So I thought you said the governor's house. I was wondering about whether or not we
come on.
Other than an acting governor, do we have a governor?
Come on, no. See, that's
for another show.
That's the house down there. That's the house down there. Let's get that straight. Okay?
Yeah.
That's the house.
Yeah. I believe rumor has it, I've heard that sometime next week that those whatever procedures are in place in the UK are going to take place in relation to the recall, the governor, the withdrawn recall.
Listen to me, that's going to be just like Tempura. Mm-hmm. You and I and the common folks in Cayman will never know why.
Until those records are released.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
10 years.
Getting back to the thing, which is why I advocate that we must look at other alternatives and less costly alternatives. Mm-hmm. Right? I go back to this overriding thing. The same cruise lines that build these megaships, both of them have private islands that they take their customers to. If a dock is so essential to the experience of their passengers, why haven't they built docks? Show me one place in the Western Caribbean where the cruise ships have been involved in developing docks, that the people of the country are better off now than they were before they got the cruise ships.
Before they got the piers.
Yeah. Right? That's all I'm saying. And we should be looking at less costly, incremental thing.
Okay.
I don't want you to lose your job enough for going on.
No. One thing says here, cargo generates the most revenue for the Port Authority. Cruise does not subsidize the cargo operations. That someone has said that.
Well, they need look at their.
Well, that's the justification that Moses is using for building the piers. Mm-hmm. Well, we also need to do the docks because we the cargo because we're growing population now servicing it. Mm-hmm. Oh, see, that does not make sense. You cannot bring bigger ships in here because we cannot accommodate the loads, the cargo from a bigger ship. And if you're using a bigger ship, listen to this, Mose. Listen good. They go into other countries first. They got to consolidate their cargo. They go into other countries because we can't take a full ship. Because we know how to draft out there, take a full ship. We only got 27 feet out there, It's me who do it down and blow it out,
Okay. We're way over time, folks. I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. I say to you, have a great day, have a great weekend. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dwayne Ebanks at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking and pension needs, call or visit a Fidelity branch today. Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. And Cayman Pharmacy Group, with locations in West Base and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. And Seaboard Marine. With over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling Seaboard Marine at 949-4977.
The Cayman Islands Civil Service Association members are asked to note that the final day of school bag supplies and distribution is Friday, August 31st from 3:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. If you did not get a bag and have been inquiring about how to get one, this is your last opportunity to do so. Please remember to bring a copy of your pay slip showing your $5 deduction. That's CICSA members' last day to pick up backpacks. This Friday from 3:30 p.m. till 6 p.m. at the CICSA office, 2nd floor, Hospital Road Plaza.